That's right, folks. Another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. Today, we'll be breaking down the NFL draft winners. We have 5 rookies that we feel that landed in ideal situations for their fantasy value as soon as 2023. We have seen plenty of rookies over the past few years come out and dominate for fantasy. In some cases, it was guys that we didn't even expect. So on today's show, we'll be talking about some first rounders, second rounders, day 2 picks, and maybe even a day 3 pick for you to keep an eye on in your dynasty and redraft leagues in 2023. Before we do, I want to make sure you follow us across the board at Razzball Fantasy on YouTube, IG, and TikTok. I know you kids are out there watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit us a like. Leave a comment on your favorite winners from the NFL draft. And also make sure you jump over to our other social media accounts and watch our latest videos over there. And of course, make sure you jump over to Razzball.com. We're doing great written content on every single sport you can imagine. We have everything from hockey, basketball, baseball, and football. So go check out all the great content and all our great writers over on Razzball.com. But today's show, we're going to break down the 5 NFL draft winners starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. Speaking of winners, Gladys Louise Tyler helps us. 6 winners. We have 5 from the NFL draft, and number 6 is Gladys. Gladys, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm okay. I just need everyone to reply in the comments. I have 2 questions. One, is Tyler Hero wearing one of those candy necklaces? You know, that remember those candy necklaces that you can eat? I need to know if that's what he has on. And 2, what is the subscribers' thoughts on walking your dog in your PJs?
Love it. I can tell you from my perspective, I actually don't. I'm not a PJs guy, so I'm a sweatpants, sweatshirt guy. So if that counts, I do it every day. So I am all in if that is the case. Speaking of walking around in your PJs, let's talk about the 5 winners from the NFL draft. The rookies.
Seamless.
All 5 of our players that we're going to talk about today are rookies. And I'm sure in the next few weeks, my craziness will say, let's do 5 winners that are current players. But today's show, we're going to break down some rookies. Now, Gladys, let's kick it off right now. Because you love me so much, you decided to call out the New York Giants wide receiver, Jalen Hyatt. Tell me why I should be excited for this kid heading into 2023 and beyond.
Well, actually, I put him on for you. I'm not sure I'm that excited about him, but I think that the New York Giants wide receiver depth chart is sparse enough that he has a chance to play. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to pass the ball as much, so it's not going to be by volume that he's going to win your fantasy leagues, but I think it's going to be by quality, not quantity. I think right now he's sitting behind Isaiah Hodgins, who had a really good year, actually. But I don't see I don't see the Giants veering from what made them successful last year. And that was they were 25th in pass attempts per game with only 30.6 pass attempts per game. I don't think that's going to monumentally increase because Jalen Hyatt's there. But I do think because of the quality, no disrespect to the gentlemen that are currently on the roster, that he will have his chance to have games where he has a high ceiling.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about winners today, and that landing spot with the quality of players around Daniel Jones stepping up, Brian Daboll, Saquon Barkley. You got to love the idea that basically all the other guys on the roster right now are like randoms. So at the wide receiver position. So you got to love this kid's outlook heading into this season. All right, let's jump down to number 4. It's Jonathan Mingo. And a lot of this has to tie back to number 1, Bryce Young. I mean, I think there's a lot of excitement for this guy. I know he's an undersized quarterback, but a lot of comparisons. They call him the Steph Curry of football. So I'm already excited about all that stuff. The other thing, though, I do like is that there's a couple things when it comes to the foundation they laid around this kid. Number 1, not only do they have the young quarterback, but they have a veteran in Andy Dalton who could stabilize some of that room. Plus, if he were to start, at least we know he's able to sustain some level of talent around him. The other thing is the guys that they have on the roster right now. You have Adam Thielen going on to his mid-30s. He's signed a quote-unquote 3-4 year deal, but really it's a 2-year deal. So even veteran like him could be out after 2 seasons. DJ Chark comes in on a 1-year deal. And then Terrace Marshall, to this point hasn't really shown up. Now, Frank Wright comes in. Frank Wright wasn't a part of that decision to draft Terrace Marshall. He was a part of the process for Jonathan Mingo. The other things that I thought were interesting is that when you look at the head coach and then also the general manager, I thought this was interesting. The GM has been there for 2 seasons already. This is his 3rd draft with the Carolina Panthers. However, Scott Fitterer, by the way, it's Fitterer. He's got 2 ers at the end. He was 20 years in Seattle. He was credited with drafting guys like Tyler Lockett and, of course, DK Metcalf. Well, where did DK Metcalf come from? Ole Miss. So maybe he felt like a little nostalgic. He goes, maybe we should go out and get another Ole Miss stud in the 2nd round. Another guy that's pretty big size, 6'2", about 225. So he's a big physical outside receiver. I see a lot of things about him, maybe being like a big slot guy as well. So that's interesting. Ironically. So I think there's something there, but also Frank Wright. We've seen in the past, Frank Wright have success. Not necessarily in the first year, though. I'll say that. Michael Pittman in 2020 was the wide receiver 79 as a rookie, third in team routes. Paris Campbell got hurt. Keenan Allen, if you want to go way back to the days in San Diego, he was wide receiver 18 his rookie season, but he was also 3rd in routes. Alex Pierce in 2022 finished wide receiver 62 in PPR points per game. So there isn't a lot of success as rookies, but those guys all did have decent roles, 3rd receiving options in the offense. So I do think there's something there. And plus, finally, he comes from Lane Kiffin, by the way. And Lane Kiffin, if you're going back to some of the years with USC and Alabama as offensive coordinator, guys like Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Marquise Lee, Nelson Aguilar, some of those guys had a lot of success in the NFL. So I do like that as well for Jonathan Mingo. Hopefully he can earn that spot ahead of Terrace Marshall heading into 2023. Let's jump down to number 3. It's Jordan Addison, who lands with the Minnesota Vikings opposite of Justin Jefferson, replacing Adam Thielen. So tell us why you like Jordan Addison as a winner in 2023.
Anytime that you are getting someone who is going to play opposite of Justin Jefferson, that person has won the game of life. With Adam Thielen gone, it's 107 targets last year Adam Thielen had, and he also had like a 20.2% air yard share. People are still going to double Justin Jefferson, which is giving Jordan Addison free reign. I'm not that worried about KJ Osborne stealing his thunder. I think that the loss of Adam Thielen for Minnesota opens up a 17% target share, 107 targets, and like I said, 20.2 air yards, which Jordan Addison, in my opinion, was probably the 2nd best wide receiver to come in this class. And that Minnesota got him on Kirk Cousins like last year that he needs to prove himself is pretty awesome.
I think what we've seen from the Vikings offense already is that they could definitely support multiple pass catchers, and KJ Osborne's a free agent. So I do like this one as well, especially in Dynasty. Jumping down to number 2, when I started kind of looking through this and trying to figure out winners and losers, I went through like pretty much every team and just did everything from current to rookies. And one of the guys that stood out to me was this kid, Chase Brown. Now, the reason why is he immediately becomes the 2nd highest draft capital running back, even though he was drafted in the 5th round, because Evans and Williams were not drafted that high. So he has a little bit of draft capital in that sense. The other thing I like about this kid is he is an absolute workhorse. So if you look at his college dominator, he was 93rd percentile, 42% of his team's carries last season. So he can handle a big workload. But then you look at his workout measurables, it's like, holy crap, 4.43, 40-yard dash, 92nd percentile, speed score 89th, burst score 95th, bench press 86 with 25 reps. So he's 209, 5'10", stocky, could easily become that 2-down thumper. The other thing, Joe Mixon, by the way, a lot of conversations about Joe Mixon this offseason. It does sound like he'll be around this year, but moving forward, it sounds like Joe Mixon could be on the outs as a team option for 2024. I can already see them getting rid of Joe Mixon. This kid has a real chance to emerge as the early down guy as well. Guys like Williams, who backup only have 1 year left on their contract. Evans has 2, but I'm not really worried about him. Zach Taylor does have experience bringing in rookies. So when he was at the Miami Dolphins a few years ago, they drafted Lamar Miller behind Reggie Bush and company. Reggie Bush obviously started that 1 year, but then they let Reggie Bush walk, in his second year as a starter. He really made some leaps of Browns, and Lamar Miller was a 4th-round pick. So 5th round, 4th round, not too bad as well. Not a lot of exciting the coach for Illinois, I looked at his historical running backs out of college, and the best name I got for you is Alex Collins. So do what you want with that. But Alex Collins had some moments, but that's not really that exciting. But I definitely have this kid as a winner because as soon as next season, he could be the early down back on an elite offense led by Joe Burrow. Let's jump down to number 1. From Rags to Richardson, huh? Huh? Well, I thought that was kind of funny. That was pretty good. Anthony Richardson. I know, right? Bad puns in fantasy football analysis. That's all I do every day. All right, Anthony Richardson at number 1. Gladys, tell us why he's the winner of the NFL draft, in your opinion.
Where he landed, it's strictly where he landed. If he had gone anywhere else, I don't think I would be as high on him. But as far as every article I put out since the draft and every podcast I've been on, Anthony Richardson is the clear winner to be hooked up with Shane Steichen. Is that how you pronounce his name? Steichen? I like it. Steichen. Steichen's worked with Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts, right? All of them showed increase in their completion percentage, increase in their yards per attempt, and Hurts they're all 3 different kinds of quarterback. Phillip Rivers is not the most mobile quarterback that you'll ever see, and Justin Herbert is that tweener. He can be mobile, but he relies on that cannon of an arm. And then Jalen Hurts has the arm and the mobility, and Steichen has managed to have each of them be more successful each year that he's worked with them. So the fact that Richardson has the highest ceiling of any of the 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in the 1st and 2nd round. Did Hooker go 2nd or 3rd round? He went 3rd round, didn't he?
3rd. He went late, yeah.
Yeah, he went late.
3rd round, yeah.
The first 3 rounds, I think his ceiling is astronomical with Steichen. As long as those 2 hook up, I think it's just he's a dual threat. And I know that his completion percentage hasn't been above 59% in his 13 games that he started, but he's only played 13 college. He's only started 13 college games. So my money's on Steichen making him better than Jalen Hurts.
I think when it comes to Anthony Richardson, we have to separate the NFL piece and the fantasy football piece, because even if he starts right away, you're going to want him for his legs. Because if they allow him to run like they used Jalen Hurts, there might be a learning curve a little bit in the passing development. But trust me when I tell you, no matter who the quarterback is, even Malik Willis, the worst case scenario, Malik Willis was able to put up QB2 numbers when he threw for 75 yards because he's running the ball constantly. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to want Anthony Richardson on your fantasy team. So if he earns that starting job week 1, I will be drafting him probably at the end of every draft, just as my QB2, just to stash him, because let's look what happened to Justin Fields last year. When you have a mobile QB, the sky is the limit. All right, folks, that's all we got today. That's our 5 winners from the NFL draft. 5 rookies, by the way, that you need to keep your eye on heading into this offseason, and especially if you got those dynasty leagues coming up. Gladys, before we close out the show, tell us the people what you got coming up, any articles, any podcasts. Tell the people where they can find your content.
So I have the NFC West defense coming up for Razzball later on this week. I have the 5 veteran quarterbacks that you need to keep an eye on coming out for Rotoballer, I think, sometime this week. And podcast next Monday, come see me and Jay on the 2-point conversion. And the next Thursday, come see Jorge Martin from the Cookout and myself and Jay and Kyle Sinra. We will be mock drafting the best running backs ever to play in the NFL.
Love it. Look at that. A lot of interesting topics. Basically, you go to Gladys if you just need any content at this point. Just go to Gladys and you'll be good to go. I want to thank you once again for joining the show today. Make sure you subscribe, hit the comments, go watch another video. We got a bunch of content. We have the NFL reactions from day 1, and we also have our top 5 picks from day 2 that just dropped. And later this week, we have 5. We're going to Negative Town, folks. We're talking about the 5 losers from the NFL draft. Once again, I'm your host, Bobby Lamarco. You can follow me at Bobby Lamarco on Twitter. We are out of here.